Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show today. My name is Beth Walsh. On the show today, we start with investigations. What to expect from the Michael Cohen hearing. What's going to go down? We give you the full preview. Also, check a look at the news around the world. A lot of news, both in the North Korea situation and the Venezuela situation, and Congress. What's going on there with the border wall fight? We will clue you in on that as well. All right, let's get right into it. But as I said before, first we start with the investigations and lies, racism, and cheating. That's one of the explosive headlines that can emerge from President Trump's longtime fixture Michael Cohen when he launches his testimony tour on Capitol Hill today. So he's going to be testimonying. He's going to be doing a lot of testimonying, frankly. So Cohen turned against Trump when he pleaded guilty in November to lying to Congress about the timeline of the possible Trump Tower project in Moscow. And he also made the extraordinary admission in August that Trump directed him to make payments to two women who alleged they had affairs with Trump to stop them from speaking for the 2016 election. Obviously, with that campaign finance violation that he pled guilty to for the Southern District of New York. Cohen's allies, though, they do hope that he could become this next generation's John Dean, pretty much the guy who takes down the president. And obviously, it's a little much, but we'll see. We'll see about that. So Cohen is expected to describe to lawmakers what he views as Trump's lies, racism, and cheating, both as president and in private business, and will describe the personal behind-the-scenes interactions he witnessed. A person familiar with the matter told the Washington Post. So yeah, the Wall Street Journal writes that Cohen's expected to accuse Trump of criminal conduct while he was in office, and would be the first time Cohen alleges that Trump committed a crime while in office. So apparently it's supposed to be pretty big. So so Cohen will give his most detailed public account to date of Mr. Trump's alleged direction of the hush payments, as well as how Trump was involved in efforts to conceal them from the public weeks before the 2016 election, according to Rebecca Ballhaus and Warren P. Strobel. So that's going to be very juicy. Cohen will also make public some of Trump's private financial statements and allege that Trump at times inflated or deflated his net worth for business and personal purposes, including avoiding paying property taxes. The person said. So, I mean, that's probably the least surprising thing in the book, and it's going to be interesting to actually, though, hear him say it and describe it. Finally, though, according to the Journal, Cohen is expected to recount racist remarks Trump allegedly made to him, including instances in which Trump allegedly questioned the intelligence of African Americans and criticized their lifestyle choices, the person said. So, I mean, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of shocking details here coming from this, and it seems like there will be an overflow of headlines from this. Lies, racism, cheating, not paying taxes. We will never know. Also, though, new from Reuters, Cohen plans to tell U.S. lawmakers that this week that Trump asked him several times about a proposed skyscraper in Moscow after he secured the Republican presidential nomination. A person familiar with the matter told Reuters. Cohen will start his week in front of the Senate Intelligence Committee on Tuesday, followed by hearing before the House Oversight Committee on Wednesday. So Senate is today. It's Tuesday. Ending with a testimony before the House Intelligence Committee on Thursday. So yeah, that's what to expect from this Cohen week, the Michael Cohen testimony week. So Republicans will be working in overtime to attack Cohen's credibility, but there are a few people, though, who did know Trump as well as Cohen. Cohen's expected to, this is again a list, according again to the Washington Post, of what Cohen is expected to talk about. Cohen's expected to detail his motives for having helped Trump and now for coming clean. The person familiar with the matter said he'll offer very specific details, some of which have not yet been made public, about arranging the hush money payments at Trump's direction, the person said. So did the president direct Cohen a lie? Cohen is expected to provide a more detailed more detail about his lies to Congress and address in some capacity a BuzzFeed News report asserting that he told special counsel Robert Mueller's office the president directed him to lie, the person said. So that would be huge if he's able to confirm that. Cohen's expected to present records of Trump's finances and will recall alleged instances where Trump used the high numbers for his purposes, such as getting on the top 10 wealthiest people of the Forbes list and low numbers when it came to pay real estate, for example, real estate taxes. So, yeah, there are tons of questions that you can expect lawmakers to ask. Did the president direct you to lie? And did you tell the special counsel's office? Was Cohen lying merely because he knew that's what Trump wanted, or because Trump told him to do so? That's going to be a key thing to establish. Who are the White House-based staff and legal counsel to the president that you remain in contact with, and what instruction did they give you about your testimony? Were you ever offered a pardon in exchange for being silent? Do you believe Trump obstructed any investigation, and do you have evidence to prove that? Can you provide more information about the frequency and substance of your conversation with Trump about the Trump Tower Moscow project after January 2016? So it's those are some of the things that lawmakers are most likely going to try and find out from him. So, yeah. So, as for concerns about from the White House regarding the Cohen testimony, one senior administration official told New York Times Annie Carney that it would not steal the spotlight from the president and describe Cohen as a convicted criminal who's already lied to Congress, while Trump is trying to undo 70 years of war and neglect. Well, if you don't know what the media is going to be covering, then and if you don't know if you think the media is not going to care about this Cohen thing and just let it slide by, you are very unaware of the media. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein at the Center for Strategic and International Studies on Monday signaled what we are expecting to be disclosed to the public when Special Counsel Robert Mueller probe has concluded. Saying in this key quote, "The guidance I always give my prosecutors and the agents that I work with during my tenure are on the front lines of law enforcement were, if we aren't prepared to prove our case beyond a reasonable doubt in court, we'll have no business making allegations against American citizens." And that, again, includes Trump in that, I'm sure. So, yeah, there's a knee-jerk reaction to suggest that we should be transparent about what we do in government, but there are a lot of reasons not to be transparent about what we do in government. Just because the government collects information doesn't mean the information is accurate, and it can be very misleading if you're overly transparent about information the government collects. So I do think we need to be cautious about that. So a little bit worrying if we are expecting complete and total transparency from this guy. So it's a little chilling there. All right. Now we're going to widen our scope from Washington to the world, where President Trump is headed to Vietnam for his second summit with North Korea's Kim Jong-un, while Vice President Pence, as we told you yesterday, visited Colombia to talk Venezuela. Here's a smattering of news from around the world that we have for you today. Starting with North Korea, Kim arrived in Vietnam on Tuesday after a 65-hour, 2,500-mile train journey from Pyongyang through China. Other North Korean officials include Kim Jong-un's younger sister, Kim Hyok-chol, North Korea's special envoy, Stephen Biegun's counterpart, and then Kim's Vietnam schedule has not yet been publicly announced, but Trump arrives at 9:15 a.m. On Hanoi's Noi Bai International Airport. So, yeah, there has been a lot of melee over Kim's arrival at the Melia. Kim's arrival sparked the ouster of the U.S. press corps from its designated filing center in the Melia Hotel Tower in downtown Hanoi, where Kim is staying. Reporters were left scrambling after weeks of preparation, according to the Post, John Hudson and David Nakamura. So, just all of a sudden, like, yeah, Kim's coming, you gotta go. So, yeah, in Colombia, the Vice President Mike Pence announced new sanctions against Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's loyalists and called on other nations to follow Trump's administration's lead in freezing assets of the Venezuela's state oil giant, PDVSA, a movement to further cut the Maduro's international cash flow. And here's the thing, this does not help the Venezuelan people at all. It puts them under more pressure here. It's a pretty important thing to realize if we actually care about helping these people. Pence did not publicly back immediate military force, but he reiterated a long-standing administration stance that all options were being considered. So nothing really good on that. So, Maduro also briefly detained a Univision anchor, Jorge Ramos, after he showed Maduro a video of children scavenging for food. So that is not a good reaction. Ramos and his team were detained for 3 hours in the Mira Flores Palace in Caracas, where their equipment, cell phones, and interview and footage were confiscated. Jorge Ramos explains how the episode played out on Univision a little bit after he was eventually freed. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif tendered a surprise and abrupt resignation via Instagram late Monday night, saying, "I highly appreciate the graciousness of the brave Iranian people and respected officials over the past 67 months. I sincerely apologize for my lack of ability to continue service and apologize for all my shortcomings." So yeah, I'm sure we'll find out the reason for this guy's resignation pretty soon. Looks like he didn't really go willingly. Maybe want to get out there before it got too late. Over in England, Jeremy Corbyn, the leader of the British opposition Labour Party, announced Monday evening that his bloc in Parliament would support a second referendum to stop what he called the damaging Tory Brexit. That's the news there from London. All right, finally. On the Hill today, Congress braced Monday for an unprecedented effort to overturn the presidential emergency declaration as Republicans worked to limit defections on the eve of a critical House vote, where Democrats framed the issue as a constitutional showdown, according to the Washington Post. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said Monday evening that he wasn't sure many Republicans would vote for the resolution of disapproval against the National Emergency Declaration, but there wasn't sure how many Republicans would vote for it. It's not a good sign. He supposedly have to do minority whip or whatever who would tell him that. But apparently he thinks that there will not be enough to override any veto, which Trump will most likely do 100%. This approval resolution is expected to pass the Senate, even though multiple Republican senators have come out against the emergency declaration. Even so, they're unlikely to form a big enough group to override a Trump veto. Tom Tillis wrote an opinion piece for the Post Monday explaining why he opposes Trump's emergency declaration instantly, knowing that future left-wing presidents will exploit it to advance radical policies that will erode economic and individual freedoms. And I think that's the point. I mean, that's the point that will probably mobilize these people the most is you don't want a left-wing president declaring a national emergency over gun violence and coming to take your guns. That would be something that they would probably mobilize, if anything, the most over. So Tillis joins Senators Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Susan Collins of Maine, and 47 Senate Democrats in an attempt to block Trump's attempts to secure billions for his border wall after lawmakers effectively stiffed him. Now just one GOP senator's support for a resolution to block Trump's bid would send a measure to Trump's desk and force a veto. Several GOP senators told Burgess Everett and Marianne Levine of Politico that they were still undecided on the issue, including Lamar Alexander, Mitt Romney, and Cory Gardner of Colorado. So, yeah. Also on the Hill, a slew of drug executives headed to Capitol Hill for hearing, interestingly enough, for the Senate Finance Committee to discuss the sky-high price of prescription drugs in the U.S. So that is all very interesting. And that's, to me, from what I can see, it seems like probably one of the biggest issues where there is bipartisan agreement on. So that's very encouraging. Finally, some quick hits before we go. Kim Jong-un coming up. GOP is planning now to maneuver the Yemen bill from getting maneuver to block the Yemen bill, the bill put forward by Ro Khanna and Bernie and all those progressives to end the war in Yemen. They're trying to not have that a vote, which is annoying. Ex-Clinton stabbers right now are slamming Bernie Sanders over private jet flights. Can you get any more pathetic? I really don't know. All right, so that is just about it for us. And those Clinton people, my God. All right, have a great rest of your day. You just got the world in 15 minutes. This has been The Wake Up.